feliz viernes, yo soy Rory, hoy es viernes y estoy contento de estar aquí contigo. So, if you were with me last week, you know that Caleb and Leslie and the girls and I, we were headed off hunting last weekend, and so you backpack in and you set up camp, and then from camp you go out with your day bags, and you set up in different spots, and you call for elk and things like that. So for everyone who thinks that hunting is just cruel and unusual and a terrible thing to do, you'll be glad to know that all the elk are safe from the Fosters. We did not have any luck last weekend. But for everyone who was supporting us, thank you very much. We had a wonderful weekend. We saw 5 elk over the course of the weekend, but seeing them is only 1/3 of the equation, right? You got to see them first. You got to know where they are and see them. And then you've got to be able to call them in close to you. And so you act like, our strategy is to kind of act like an annoying teenager bull elk that's just making these interesting calls and really bothering the more mature bull elks that are trying to keep their herds together. And so that's our strategy. So you got to call them in close to you. The closest we got one herd was 200 yards. But our limit, our total distance, my limit is 60-yard shot with my bow and arrow, and Caleb's limit is a 40-yard shot with his, just because he's been doing it less and is a less steady shot. But we couldn't get him in close enough. And then, of course, the third part of the equation is to shoot straight and actually hit in a way that causes I guess we would call it a humane harvest or a humane death for the elk. So anyway, we only got 1/3 of the way there this weekend, but we had a great family weekend. It was tons of fun, and we'll see if we can do it again. I don't think we'll be able to go as a family, but I might take Eliana, our youngest, because she's a little less serious about her soccer games, and of course Caleb's done now. He wants to focus on football and all that sort of thing. So anyway, moving on a little bit about the Fosters. Fall is my favorite time of the year because there's honestly nothing I like more than being out in the mountains, out in the woods, alone, set up in, you hike into the area that you're going to hunt before light, and so it's super cold, and sometimes there's snow on the ground, and I drink chai because I don't want to take the time to make coffee there. I just dump hot water on some tea bags, but you sit there and you just have so much time in nature. It's amazing. But all right, anyway, hoy nuestro tema es intervenciones motivacionales. And in English we say motivational interviewing, but in Spanish the common terminology seems to be motivational interventions. And so that's the word we have here, intervenciones motivacionales. And it's all about behaviors, right? Helping people take control of and talk through their own behaviors. So let's look at a few behaviors that might be common that you would be using motivational interviewing around. Okay, comportamientos, some behaviors, comportamientos. First of all, when you're talking about any vice or any, smoking, drinking, whatever it might be, the verb to stop doing that is to dejar de. So dejar de fumar, dejar de tomar, dejar de fumar or usar tabaco, dejar de tomar licor, tomar cerveza, tomar vino, tomar whatever. Alcohol, you could say also. Dejar de usar drogas, so to stop using drugs. But maybe it's not stopping something, maybe it's bajar de peso, maybe it's losing weight. Posiblemente es cambiar la dieta, changing the diet. Maybe comer más saludable, hacer ejercicio or actividad física regularmente, or controlar any condición. So in español, controlar is the verb you're going to use for manage. So if you talk about diabetes management or managing any kind of condition, it's controlar in español. Bien. So let's start with some preguntas abiertas. Now I know that there's a handful of acronyms. I think FRAMES is one and ORS is another that kind of helps you categorize some questions for motivational interviewing, but I decided not to go with either of those and just take some other sort of random categories of conversación that seem to be more inclusive to me. So, preguntas abiertas, so open-ended questions. And you'll see them throughout the whole presentation today, the whole lesson today, but here are some from the get-go. ¿Qué le trae aquí? Or ¿qué le trae a la clínica hoy? What brings you here today? What brings you to the clinic today? ¿Qué le hace pensar? What makes you think que es hora de cambiar? What makes you think that it's time to change? ¿Qué le hace pensar que es hora de cambiar? ¿Qué pasa cuando usted? What happens when you? ¿Qué pasa cuando usted? And then any verb to talk about comportamiento que quiere cambiar. ¿Qué pasa cuando usted toma licor? ¿Qué pasa cuando usted fuma? ¿Qué pasa cuando usted fill in the blank, ¿verdad? Cuéntame más sobre la primera vez que empezó. So tell me more about the first time that this or that started, okay? ¿Qué es lo que usted le gusta sobre? What is it that you like about? ¿Qué es lo que a usted le gusta sobre any situación or acción, etc.? What is it you like about being sober or whatever, ¿verdad? Okay. ¿Y cómo era eso para usted? And what was that like for you? See? What was that like for you? ¿Qué será diferente para usted esta vez cuando intenta? What will be different for you this time when you try to stop smoking or improve your physical activity or improve your diet, etc.? See? So what will be different this time? Bien, asking permission to discuss a certain topic, ¿verdad? ¿Le molesta si hablamos sobre, would it bother you if we talked about, podemos hablar un poquito sobre, can we talk a bit about, etc.? ¿Estaría cómodo conversar sobre, would you be comfortable talking about, fill in the blank? Podemos conversar, veo aquí que usted padece de, whatever the condition is. I see here that you suffer from condition, right? Podemos conversar sobre cómo, can we talk about how any actividad or estilo de vida affects your condición? So, veo aquí que usted padece de corazón, that you've got heart problems, yeah? Podemos conversar sobre cómo, your eating habits, etc., your physical activity habits afecta la condición del corazón, okay? Bien, notice in here, we're using hablar, conversar. When you're talking discuss in Spanish, you will never use the verb discutir. Discutir is really more the verb to argue in most contexts in Spanish. So anytime you want to say discuss, go with hablar or conversar. It seems simpler than you want, but it's perfect. Discutir is actually not what you want to say in most situations. Okay, moving on to some change talk or motivaciones para cambiar. See? ¿Qué le hace pensar que necesita cambiar? What makes you think you need to change? See? ¿Qué le pasará si no cambia? What will happen if you don't change? See? ¿Qué le gustaría ser diferente sobre su situación actual? What would you like to be different about your current situation? So current in Spanish is actual, see? So, ¿qué le gustaría ser diferente sobre su situación actual? What would you like to be different about your current situation? ¿Cuáles serían los beneficios de cambiar? What would be the benefits of changing, whatever it might be? ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? How can I help you a superar las dificultades que experimenta? How can I help you overcome? Superar is a great verb. Superar las dificultades que experimenta. How can I help you overcome the difficulties you're facing? See? Or feeling or experiencing. ¿Qué tendría que hacer para cambiar? What would you have to do to change? ¿Qué tendría que hacer? ¿Cómo será diferente su vida en 6 meses, en 2 años, en 1 mes, en 3 meses, si cambia hoy? So, how would your life be different if you change today, right? How would your life be different in 6 months if you change today? ¿Por qué piensa que otros están preocupados sobre su... Why do you think that other people are concerned about your fill in the blank, whatever the topic is you're discussing with your paciente? ¿Sí? Okay, bien. Moving on to escuchar y reflexionar. So listening and reflecting on what people are saying. ¿Sí? Suena que, it sounds like, parece que, it seems like, le oigo decir que, I hear you saying that, tengo la impresión que, I get the impression that quiere cambiar something, que le preocupa something, that you're concerned about something, que no es un problema por el momento, that this or that isn't a problem for the moment, that you're drinking isn't a problem right now, or smoking, que no estás seguro or segura que puede cambiar, that you're not certain you can change. ¿Qué requerirá realizar el cambio esta vez? So what will it take to make this change this time? Now you're noticing a verb that maybe doesn't seem right. Realizar. Realizar is to do something. So to realize in English can mean a couple of different things. To realize in English can be to, to recognize a pattern or a connection or something like that. And that's a different verb in Spanish. That's darse cuenta, to recognize something intellectually, let's say. But to realizar is to make something real or to make it happen in español. So, ¿qué requerirá realizar el cambio esta vez? So what will it take to actually make this happen this time, to do this change this time? Okay, afirmaciones, so affirming statements. Su compromiso para cambiar whatever es obvio. So your commitment, compromiso, commitment, your commitment to changing blank is obvious. Yeah, it's clear. La manera en que usted enfrentó esa situación demuestra, the way you faced that situation shows whatever. ¿Sí? A pesar de lo que pasó, in spite of what happened, usted demostró, you demonstrated, or you showed whatever característica you'd like to affirm in someone. Yeah? So, unas características positivas, some positive characteristics that sort of wrap around change and life changes. Primero, compromiso, commitment, ¿verdad? Segundo, dedicación. They're not really first, second, it's just alphabetical order. Dedicación, dedication, ¿verdad? Determinación, determination. Entusiasmo, enthusiasm. Esfuerzos, effort. Y fortalezas, strengths. Perseverancia, perseverance, ¿verdad? So unas características that contribute to change, ¿verdad? Pros y contras. So as you're evaluating the pros and cons of making any kind of decision, here are some ways you can talk through some of that, ¿verdad? Todo en la vida tiene aspectos positivos y aspectos negativos. So positive and negative aspects, we could say. You could say things, cosas, and in that case it would be cosas positivas y cosas negativas. Okay? ¿Cuáles son las cosas buenas or positivas sobre, what are the good or the positive things about XYZ, you fill in the blank, right? Y por otro lado, and on the other hand, ¿cuáles son las cosas no tan buenas, not so good, or negativas sobre whatever the habit is or lifestyle that we're talking about, ¿verdad? Okay, normalizing. And special thanks to Christine, friend and former traveler down to Costa Rica with us. Christine gave me some very nice normalizing phrases about our unsuccess hunting this past weekend. So thanks, Christine. Okay, bien. Es común, es normal. So, a mucha gente le preocupa de cambiar. So, a lot of people are concerned about changing, particular habit. Muchas personas se sienten así, igual como usted. A lot of people feel like this, just like you do, ¿verdad? Muchos quieren cambiar blank, pero les cuesta mucho. So, a lot of people want to change this, but it's difficult. Les cuesta mucho. So les cuesta mucho is a good way to say es difícil. Les cuesta mucho. It costs a lot. And referring not necessarily to money, but to effort, ¿verdad? Casi todos dicen que hay aspectos buenos y no tan buenos de. So pretty much everyone says there are good and not so good aspects of fill in the blank, ¿verdad? Okay, moving on to consejos. Consejos. ¿Le molesta si pasamos unos minutos hablando sobre, does it bother you if we spend a few minutes talking about whatever the topic is? ¿Le interesa saber más sobre? Does it interest you would it interest you to know more about this topic? ¿Qué sabe sobre cómo whatever afecta su condición? So, what do you know about how I don't know, drinking affects your diabetes or kidneys or whatever, ¿verdad? Unas frases para aconsejar. A few phrases to help give some advice and recommendations, ¿verdad? Recomiendo. Recomiendo. I recommend. Normalmente es más efectivo. Normally it's more effective to do this, that, or the other. Las investigaciones demuestran que, so the studies show that, fill in the blank, ¿verdad? Muchas personas que han tenido éxito con, dicen que, so a lot of people who've had success with losing weight or whatever it might be, say that, whatever, okay? Bien, now todas estas frases, you don't have to use any tricky grammar after that. So advanced folks watching this lesson, yes, there are ways you could work in subjunctive, but everyone else, no need to worry about anything super advanced. You can use present tense and just continue going here with your recomendación, okay? Disposición para cambiar. So talking about someone's willingness to change, ¿verdad? Su disposición. Okay, en una escala de 1 a 10, escala is the kind of scale we're talking about here. Escala is like that Likert type or horizontal scale. When you step on a scale, that's a different word. That's a báscula normally, una báscula. Okay? Bien, so en una escala de 1 a 10, 1 significa que no está listo cambiar. 1 means you're not that ready to change. Y 10 significa que está muy listo cambiar. And 10 means you're very ready to change. ¿Dónde calcula que está usted en este momento? So, how would you rate where you are right now? ¿Sí? ¿Y dónde estaba usted hace 3 meses? And where were you 3 months ago? Or ¿dónde estaba usted hace 6 meses? Where were you 6 months ago? ¿Cómo se siente sobre mover de un 3 a un 7? So how do you feel about moving from a 3 to a 7, for example? ¿Sí? ¿Qué requerirá para mover aún más arriba en la escala? What will it take to move even farther on the scale? Me parece que usted ha progresado en sus deseos para cambiar, ¿verdad? It seems like you've progressed a lot in your willingness or your interest, your desire to change whatever it is we're talking about. ¿Sí? ¿Qué pasó para cambiarle de un, let's say someone's sort of backtracked a little bit, ¿sí? ¿Qué pasó para cambiarle de un 7 a un 3? What happened to take you from a 7 to a 3? ¿Qué tendrá que pasar para regresar? What will have to happen to get you back to that 7 where you were previously? Okay, now talking about confidence, confianza para cambiar. En una escala de 1 a 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, obviously 1 significa que no tiene confianza para cambiar, so 1 means you don't have much confidence for change, y 10 significa que tiene mucha confianza para cambiar. ¿Dónde calcula que está usted en este momento? So a similar setup as the previous slide, but we're just now talking about confianza instead of disposición, instead of interest, ¿verdad? ¿Qué piensa aumentará la confianza que tiene en sí mismo para cambiar? So what do you think will increase your confidence in being able to change, ¿verdad? ¿Qué requerirá para mejorar su confianza en cambiar? What will it require to improve your confidence in changing? ¿Qué puede hacer usted para mejorar su propia confianza en cambiar? What can you do to improve your own confidence to change? Okay? Bien. Now, summarizing what you've heard from your paciente, ¿verdad? Parece que le preocupa situation porque it seems like you're concerned about this thing because fill in the blank with what you heard. Well, ahora qué? Now what? Okay? Por un lado, on one hand, por un lado, usted siente que you feel that, but, por otro lado, but on the other hand, reconoce que probablemente tendrá que, but on the other hand, you recognize that you'll probably have to fill in the blank, ¿verdad? No es una decisión fácil. That's not an easy decision. En los últimos meses, usted me ha comentado que quiere, in the last few months, you've commented to me that you would like to, whatever, ¿verdad? Y ahora, and now, su familia or su esposo, esposa, whatever, está preocupado sobre, and now your family is worried about this same topic as well. Ahora entiendo por qué quiere cambiar. Now I see why you want to change, ¿verdad? Me parece que recientemente tiene más ganas para cambiar. It seems to me that you're a little more motivated now, that you're more interested now in changing, ¿verdad? Tener ganas is to have desire, have interest, to have will to do something, okay? Bien, all right, so now supporting talk, supporting specifically when someone's had some success, okay? Parece que usted que se está esforzando mucho para cambiar. Looks like you're working really hard to change or to stop, whatever, ¿verdad? That's different from before. Es diferente que antes. ¿Cómo ha podido lograr mantener estos esfuerzos? How have you been able to maintain this effort? See? Now, lograr is the verb to achieve. So it seems a little wordy, maybe, the sentence, but lograr is a great word to include as you're talking about someone really, working at something and finally getting it. So, ¿cómo ha podido lograr mantener? Have you been able to achieve maintaining these efforts, ¿verdad? Aunque todavía no ha dejado de, even though you still haven't stopped smoking, let's say, lo ha reducido mucho. You've reduced quite a bit. ¿Cómo se siente sobre sus éxitos hasta ahora? How do you feel about your successes up to now? ¿Cómo se siente sobre estos cambios que ha podido lograr? How do you feel about these changes you've been able to achieve? Okay, and cuando no hay éxitos, when there's not success, how do you support cuando no hay éxitos? Usted ha intentado, cambiar whatever, or dejar de whatever, por certain number of meses, right? Like we've been talking about this. Pero sigue igual con su uso de tobacco, maybe. It's the same, but everything's the same with your use of tobacco. Tal vez no es el mejor momento para cambiar. Maybe now's not the best time to change. Parece que tiene mucho que hacer en este momento. It seems like you have a lot to do right now at this time of life. Y otras prioridades están compitiendo. And other priorities are competing con sus deseos para cambiar. And are competing with your desire to change, ¿verdad? Cuando piensa que podrá enfocar en, when do you think you'll be able to focus on whatever it is we're talking about, ¿verdad? Okay, bien. You may also be in situations where you find that there's a discrepancy between what someone says and what they do, and there's not a perfect matchup, ¿verdad? So how could you bring that up with your patients? So discrepancias. Diferencias entre lo dicho y lo hecho. So differences between what's been said and what's been done. Bien, por un lado usted dice que las relaciones con familiares están con problemas, maybe. So on one hand you say that you're having trouble with your family relationships, let's say. Pero por otro lado, usted comenta que el licor no es un problema. But on the other hand, you say that drinking isn't a problem for you, ¿verdad? ¿Qué será lo que está causando los problemas familiares? Well, what could it be that's causing the family problems? Entonces, just swap out these underlined phrases with whatever the topic is with your patient, ¿verdad? Ayúdame a entender esto. Help me understand this. Por un lado, usted dice que quiere poder conocer a sus nietos, ¿verdad? En el futuro. So on one hand, you say you'd like to be able to meet your grandchildren someday, ¿verdad? Pero por otro lado, but on the other hand, usted no controla el azúcar ni la presión. But on the other hand, you're not controlling your blood sugar or your blood pressure. Como necesita, like you need to. ¿Cómo le ayuda no controlar el azúcar y la presión? How does not controlling your blood sugar and your blood pressure, how does that help you en llegar a conocer a sus nietos? How's that helping you in being able to someday meet your grandchildren? Okay, bien. All right, that's all we have for today. It's mucho. Yo sé que es mucho, and son frases grandes, but hopefully you're getting an idea for how you can use some of these open-ended and very patient-centric frases y preguntas, ¿verdad? So, su tarea for now. Take your time to download these notes and review them, highlight the phrases that sound like you, right? Some of this might sound like you, some of it might not sound like you. You can just tweak a little bit, but you've got a good structure to get started with anyway. Then identify the conditions and the vocabulary around the topics you tend to discuss with patients, and start committing that to memory. Remember to keep it simple. Like I was saying before, advanced speakers, you could take some of this stuff and go crazy on a grammar level with it. But the way it's currently set up, if you look at the notes, you can just, beginners and intermediate level speakers, you don't have to worry about fancy grammar with this. Just most of it's just fill in the blank, and you can use present tenses. You also see some examples of future and past tense in there as well. Okay? All right, give it a try with your patients. Of course, one of the important things about giving it a try with your patients is making sure that you've got a very clear understanding of your own limitations with Spanish, right? And when you need to get help right away. All right, muchas gracias por aprender español conmigo. Juntos mejoramos comunidades when we use Spanish responsibly. So, para más español, head over to Common Ground International, and if you'd like to take a look at medical Spanish quiz, create a free account here at certifiedspanish.com and take some of those medical Spanish quizzes. I'd love to help you through this platform really build your medical Spanish vocabulary. Hasta luego, feliz viernes. Thank you for joining me today on this video Viernes lesson. I wanted to invite you to join our community if you're not a member of the Facebook group already that I deliver these live lessons in on most every Friday. And also point you to the website where you can find a bunch more information about medical Spanish, whether that be courses or free materials for you, or finding a private tutor to work with you online or face-to-face. And also let you know about some amazing Spanish immersion programs, either you as a medical person or your significant other as working in some other industry, or your family. If you want to improve your Spanish and you have time and budget to go do some travel, our programs are pretty amazing. I think it'd be fun to work with you. And finally, if you have some document work at your clinic or at your hospital or within your setting that needs to be professionally translated, shoot me a message, upload your document to us, and we can get you a quick quote and help you out with your Spanish language documents as well. Have a great day.